generic introduction to the projections, and then we will compare functionality of different projection tools available. And also I would focus on the two modeling tools, LEAP and GASMO, in more detail. So, as I said, first we will go through the different modeling approaches, what is the criteria for the decision for selection of the different modeling tools. Then we will go in more detail of the methodological insights of the GASMO and LEAP models. So going to the first part, the projection tools can be classified based on the modeling approach they use. So they can be classified on the top-down models, bottom-up models, and hybrid approaches, as well as accounting tools. So top-down models, they have a more economical disaggregation of the system. So there is no technology detail, but rather the country is represented through economic parameters. So, for example, there are computable general equilibrium models, which have a detailed representation of various sectors in terms of economic activities, and the emissions are projected by using emission factors linked to that economic activities. Input-output models, also economical structure of the model is represented through input-output tables, input-output matrices. And there are also bottom-up models which have very detailed characterization of the technologies. So that's why they called bottom-up, so that they look at the different emission sources, and the emission sources are described through the technologies that use different fuels and produce emissions. So bottom-up models are further disaggregated to optimization and simulation models. The main difference is that optimization models, they have more the representation of the costs of different technologies and costs of different fuels, and optimization model has an advantage that the model results is actually based on the minimal cost of the energy system. So the model actually suggests which technologies to be used based on the different costs of the fuels and the technologies that provided by the user. So the solution of the optimization model is always the minimal cost of the energy system. And while the simulation models do not rely on the costing parameters, but here user provide the information on the technologies to be used. So the choice of the model depends on the data availability and the objective that you would like to get for your GHG emission projections. Whether you would like the model to make an decision based on the costs, or the user wants to implement the measures, decide the measures to be implemented in the model. So. And of course, optimization model require more data because all the costing parameters should be provided by the user. So these kind of models have their own benefits and disadvantages, let's say weaknesses, because when optimization models are more comprehensive, but at the same time they require much more data, because for each technology and fuel, the costing parameters should be provided, while simulation models, here less data might be required. And in terms of the data required to build the models, then optimization model might require more time to develop the model. There are also hybrid approaches which combine features of the top-down and bottom-up approaches, as well as accounting models. So accounting models are very simple tools where there are like aggregate representation and more simplified assumptions applied. So I will provide a bit more details on the different types of models so that we can understand the difference between different model classifications. So in terms of the selection of the model, there is no single model that can adequately represent all the complexities of the reality. We know that any model is just a mathematical description, simplified mathematical description of the reality. And it cannot account for many things that is in the real world. For example, we know that in 2020 there was a COVID lockdown, and these kind of models were not able to predict that. And actually, not any single model is used for the prediction, but rather it's a possible pathway of the future based on certain assumptions. So better our assumption is, the better is results. But in any case, the user has to make a set of assumptions, and model cannot predict certain things that might happen in the reality. So that's why they call it, it's not a prediction model, but model that might that follows the possible pathway based on the set of the assumption. And there is no single model that can be perfect, and the choice of the model depends on several criteria. For example, what is the question that we would like to get an answer? What is the functionality that we need? What is the available resources? Do we have resources for license purchase? What is the available team? How many people will be working on this model? Because some certain models might require bigger teams, and some certain models it could be enough one person can develop the tool. It also depends on the available expertise, on the available data. Certain models can be very highly disaggregated. Other models may be a bit more simplified and aggregated. Some models require license, and certain tools are available for free, and some models are just Microsoft Office-based tools, for example, Excel-based tools. Other models might require specific software. It also depends on the time horizon for modeling. Some models have a limited time horizon. Other models might not have a limitation for the future years. What is the flexibility that we would like to have in the model? So first of all, we need to kind of decide on the criteria for model selection. So here there is this table presents the comparison of different modeling tools in terms of their functionality, and New Climate Institute conducted this comparison of 4 models: GASMO, Prospects, LEAP, and TIMES. So in terms of the, for example, coverage of emissions, GASMO has a high coverage, Prospects meet high level. LEAP model has a very detailed representation of coverage of emission sources with a particular focus on the energy sector, and TIMES have very high detailed focus on the energy sector. In terms of the granularity and breadth of the technology, GASMO has a limited granularity of technology. Prospects have low to mid granularity of technology. LEAP can have a low granularity or high granularity. So it's user defined. It's user who defines what level of disaggregation would be the model having. And TIMES have very high detailed representation of the technologies. In terms of the sectoral linkages, for example, some mitigation measures might affect might have an effect on other mitigation measures in other sectors. And that's why it's very important that the modeling tool accounts for these sectoral interlinkages. And in terms of that, GASMO is not accounting sectoral interlinkages. Prospects accounts for energy supply and demand linkage, while LEAP and TIMES fully account for sectoral interlinkages. In terms of temporal granularity, GASMO has every 5-year approach. Prospects has an annual approach until 2050, and LEAP follows an annual disaggregation as well as seasonal disaggregation and hourly variation. So it's very highly temporal granularity is very high in LEAP models. The same situation is with TIMES. TIMES have annual as well as multi-year time steps. It is decided by the user what is the step for a temporal disaggregation, as well as it provides opportunity to model seasonal and hourly variations. And of course, by disaggregating the model to seasonal and hourly variations, it means that the user has to provide all this data. So the more complicated the model is, the more data needs to be provided. So it's very important to bear in mind that comprehensive models would require, of course, more time and more data. In terms of the costs, GASMO have costs, but with limited variation of time. Prospects does not account for costs, and LEAP and TIMES, both models account for costs. In terms of the optimization functionality, GASMO and Prospects don't allow to optimize solution, while LEAP and TIMES provides this functionality. And just important to know that LEAP recently released a new version. Stockholm Environment Institute provided updated LEAP version where optimization can be done for all sectors. So that's why LEAP and TIMES are becoming very, very similar to each other. So Stockholm Environment Institute provided this functionality recently. So in terms of functionality, overall assessment is that GASMO and Prospect is a low level, LEAP is a mid-level, and TIMES has very high level of functionality. In terms of accessibility, GASMO and Prospect is Excel-based. LEAP is a software Windows-related database, and TIMES is a Windows-based, and it requires a license. In terms of the availability, the GASMO and LEAP are free tools. LEAP is free for low and middle income countries, and it's charged for all other countries. TIMES is not available for free, so there is a need to purchase license for TIMES for any countries, for all countries. In terms of the user guidance, GASMO, Prospects, and TIMES has a limited user guidance, and LEAP has very good and detailed user guidance, as well as LEAP has a website dedicated for this software, and there is LEAP forum and discussion available. So any LEAP user which have an issue with the tool, they might ask a question, and then other LEAP users might be able to help you. And also, just to mention that probably in terms of number of countries using, maybe LEAP is a leader. That's why it has very big community of LEAP users, including LEAP forum, LEAP website, and language options available, while all other models are only in English. In terms of ease of use and navigation, user friendliness, GASMO has a very simple interface, so it's just Excel-based tool, so it's very easy to use GASMO. LEAP also has very good user interface, so it's very intuitive to use LEAP. While prospects and times are a bit complicated, it's not very user-friendly. In that sense, and I know that for times it's very complicated model for the usage. So there are specific without specific training for times, probably it's very hard to start using it without having specific having past specific training on times, and also carefully reading the guidance, and it requires time actually to understand how to run and how to use times model. In terms of analytical options and number of scenarios is limited in GASMO. There are only 2 scenarios that can be used developed in GASMO, while in prospects, LEAP, and times, there could be many scenarios developed, so there is no limitation on number of scenarios. In terms of sustainable development impacts and like other non-GHG emissions impacts, GASMO cannot provide such functionality, while LEAP provides also air pollution analysis, health impact analysis, agriculture sector analysis, and energy security indicators. So in terms of sustainable development impacts, LEAP is very comprehensive tool, while times provide only energy security indicators. For carbon pricing, GASMO and Prospect doesn't have this option, while LEAP and times can be used for analysis of carbon pricing policies. Other policy instruments, they can be modeled in a times model in a very detailed way, and very limited options in LEAP and prospects, while there is no possibility to analyze other policy instruments with GASMO. So also there is a very common practice among energy modeling community to use different models and link them. So, for example, I know that in UK, University College London, they develop, for example, transport sector model for transport sector, buildings model for buildings, energy sector model separately. So they use different sectoral models, and then they link between each other so that to have an overall picture on the situation. So in principle, like the most comprehensive approach would be to use different sectoral models, because of course one model cannot represent the complexity of each sector. So for example, the 4 models presented here might not be good for the countries with high emissions from agriculture or FALU sector, because these 4 models have more focus on the energy sector, and that's why those countries might need to have additional sectoral model for representing agriculture or FALU sectors. And in terms of such kind of linkages to other models, times can be linked with other models, LEAP can be linked with other models, while GASMO doesn't have such a possibility. So to summarize on the analytical options, GASMO has limited analytical options to specific abatement measures. GASMO has around 119 mitigation measures. Prospects facilitates multi-scenario analysis. Deep dive analysis requires links to other tools. LEAP facilitates multi-scenario analysis and energy sector planning. and TIMES provides extensive analysis of energy sector and options for linking to other tools. So the choice of the model depends on the questions that modelers might aim to answer. And based on that, there are some suggestions for suitable modeling approaches. So, for example, whether the question is what are the impacts of the mitigation actions planned and how much will they cost? So with this question, maybe the models with the costing parameter might be helpful. What will be impact of these mitigation options on economic development and job creation? If this is the question, then probably top-down economic models might be chosen over bottom-up models, which have higher technology representation. Other question might be, what is the most cost-effective route to achieve our target? If this is the question, then optimization model might be helpful, because in optimization models, the output of the model is the optimal pathway based on the criteria selected by the model. So, for example, what is the most cost-effective pathway to an emission reduction target? And this kind of question can be answered by a model such as TIMES. And as well as many other questions that, for example, the time horizon, whether it should be long-term projections or medium to short-term projections, whether there is a need to develop this marginal abatement revenue curve, for which the gas model might be helpful. So how to ensure quality with the projections? So there is no single methodology suggested by IPCC or UNFCCC to develop projections, because we know that for inventory, we have a clear guidance, which is IPCC inventory guidelines for which provides step-by-step methodology for calculating emissions. But what about future projections? For future projections, there is no single methodology. And according to the BTR reports in the MPGs, there is no requirement for certain methodology for all parties to follow. So parties can use any model, any methodology. But if we just think that IPCC principles for historical GG inventories ensures the quality, and this principle can be also applied for the projections in theory. For example, transparency, clear documentation for understanding projections, so that there is sufficient and clear documentation such that individuals or groups that compile the projection can understand how the projections were compiled. So there is so we know that projections should be provided biennially with the Biennial Transparency Reports. So it means that projections should be revised and updated because, of course, the economic situation changes, technology information might change. We know that the costing of technologies changes. There are new technologies that are evolving and become available. That's why it's not that you develop projections and then it can be used for many years long. Then you need to update those projections. So the team involved in the projections might change with time. So that the new team members that will be joining the modeling team might need to understand how previous projections was done, how the model was developed. So in that case, it's better to have a documentation which provides a description of all the assumptions and input data and modeling approaches used to develop these projections, so that the model can be updated. Some assumptions can be updated, some assumptions can be the same. So without the documentation, it's very difficult to understand how the projections were done. Including in the BTR, there is a requirement to report on the main assumptions and model used for the projections. And ensuring that projections are unbiased with minimized uncertainties, that projections include all sources, sinks, and gases, so that categories in the projections follows the same structure as the inventory categories. and consistency, so that projections use the same data sources and methodologies across years. So going towards in more detail of each modeling tool, I would like to give you a bit overview on the mitigation inventory tool for integrated climate action, which is briefly called MITICA. So the MITICA tool is used to project emissions and assess the impact of policies and measures on national emissions. It was recently developed, so it was presented in COP28 in Dubai. It was developed by Gauss International in collaboration with the UNFCCC. So it's pretty recent tool compared to LEAP, GASMO, and TIMES, which was developed from many years ago. The MITICA is a relatively new tool, and it is developed with the UNFCCC. And in terms of the coverage, it covers all sectors, all IPCC covered sectors, and it can be obtained by sending a request to the UNFCCC Secretariat by UNFCCC focal points. And it can be also available to researchers. However, MITICA will not be shared for commercial purposes. So there is also on this website, on the link provided, you can check the email where the request should be sent to obtain this tool. And in terms of the data needs, first of all, the data on GHG inventory should be provided based on the CRT categories. Macroeconomic proxies like GDP, population should be provided by the user. Sectoral proxies, historical and projected, should be provided by the user. In terms of modeling approach, first of all, with this MITICA tool, business as usual without measure scenario is developed, and it uses statistical techniques to project without measure scenario based on the historical GHG emissions inventory data provided. It is coded in Python in a DETSCAP application. It contains more than 60 policies and measures predefined with default parameters, but users can also add new mitigation options. It can be used also to develop with existing measure scenario and with additional measure scenario. And it can be used to rank policies and measures by its mitigation impact. And it can produce projections in a format so that it is compliant with the CTF tables for BTR reporting. So the tool ensures that these MPG requirements for projections will be met. So going towards the GASMO tool, full naming is the Greenhouse Gas Abatement Cost Model. Because it provides not only emission reduction, but also it provides abatement cost. So the cost is one of the input data that should be provided by the user for the GASMO. It is Excel-based tool. It is available for free on the website of UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center. It is based on IPCC and CDM methodologies. In terms of input data, well, compared to other models, GASMO doesn't require too much of the input data. That's why the development of the GASMO tool can be done in few weeks or 1 month or several months time. So it doesn't require several years of time. From my previous experience, I know that for TIMES or LEAP, it might be needed that from several months to several years is needed to develop a good model. So in the GASMO tool, the required input data is population and GDP, the great emission factor, energy prices, global warming potentials, and energy balance. So energy balance is the mandatory key starting point for projections. GHG inventory data for non-energy sectors is also required. Growth factors are provided. So using the growth factors, GASMO makes projections in BAU scenario. And these growth factors should be estimated outside of the modeling tool. So in compared to Mitika tool, where growth factors are like automatically estimated, here in GASMO, user has to provide those growth factors. A user has to provide mitigation options, for example, amount of electric vehicles, amount of solar panels to be installed, amount of efficient lighting, etc. So all the mitigation options and their units has to be provided by the user for the future projected years. And also, a lot of technical economical parameters have to be provided. For example, amount of solar installation, annual distance for transport, number of hours of usage of lighting, investment cost, etc. GASMO can be used for development of BAU scenario and mitigation scenario. So there are two scenarios that can be developed with the GASMO tool. It can be possible to add third scenario, but another additional GASMO file should be created. And it can be used to estimate expected and achieved emission reduction from mitigation policies and measures. GASMO can be used, well, from the experience, GASMO have been developed for many years ago. That's why we know that it has been used extensively for national communication, for national determined contributions, for BURs, BTRs, national action plans, etc. So there are 10 steps to develop GASMO. First 4 steps, it's start year in BU scenario. Then it provides, the user has to provide information for mitigation scenario. In the steps 8 to 10, user can view and analyze the results of the GASMO tool. We are at UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center working to improve the GASMO tool. So in 2024, we released a new version, which follows more stepwise approach and an improved interface. And in August 2024, we released version 2.1, where we added 2040 and 2045. And in March this year, we have released version 2.2, where we added additional step results in BTR format, so that the results of the GASMO tool can be directly copied to the CTF tables for the BTR purposes. And this is the typical results of the GASMO tool. So there is the emission projections for BAU scenario, emission projections for mitigation scenario, and emission projections by gases, by sectors, by subsectors. So with the new version of the GASMO tool, we make it more in line with the CRT inventory categories. And this is the additional table, which strictly follows the CTF format. But the disadvantages of the GASMO tool that F gases are not projected, so only 3 gases are projected, CO2, CH4, and N2O. It doesn't provide projections for F gases. And one of the key outputs of the GASMO tool is the marginal abatement revenue curve. So marginal abatement revenue curve helps us to prioritize mitigation options in terms of the abatement cost and emission reduction potential. So I will not go into too much detail on the GASMO methodology, and just know that there is a GASMO tutorial available on YouTube channel of the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center, and also on our website. If you search GASMO UNEP CCC, you will find the links to these YouTube tutorials, where we provide step-by-step explanation on how to use GASMO. So if you are interested, you can follow that, and in principle, by looking at these tutorials, you might be able to start using the GASMO tool. So it doesn't require too much in-depth training to start using the GASMO tool. So just to conclude, GASMO is very simple tool, easily adaptable to specific national context. Calculations are very transparent and easy to follow. It allows user to play with the scale of application of any mitigation option and to see what is the mitigation impact. So going to the LEAP tool. LEAP is a Windows-based tool. It is developed almost 40 years ago by Stockholm Environment Institute, and it is very frequently updated. So Stockholm Environment Institute works on the model so that to improve the functionalities, to improve the interface of the tool. I have seen that recently they released new version, which has a much better interface. It is very widely used tool across the world, so almost 200 countries were using it, and at least 60 countries used it for development of their NDCs, more than 5,000 active users. It is based on the scenario scenario approach, so that we develop a hypothetical business as usual scenario and develop many policy scenarios. So the advantage of this tool is that number of scenarios is not limited with the tool, so you can create many scenarios for projections. It is typically used at the national level, but it can be also used for the city level and for the regional level. Mostly the focus is the energy sector, but non-energy sectors can be also modeled with the GASMO tool, with the LEAP tool. But the detailed structure is mostly for the energy and fuel combustion sectors. And it can be used not only for modeling, but also it has a very detailed structure, default data, and it can be used for data management and documentation, as well as visualization. So outputs of the LEAP model can be provided in a very good graphs, in a Sankey diagrams, so the outputs are very attractive and easy to understand. It can be used to examine not only GHG emissions, but also air pollutant emissions. It follows the IPCC inventory guidelines and includes default emission factors and standard global warming potentials. Well, compared to TIMES model, compared to other more comprehensive models, it's relatively low initial data requirements. It is user-friendly design. The structure of the model is that the user has to provide demand first, and then it calculates the supply side. So it follows like energy balance approach. Its calculations are fast and interactive. It is bottom-up model, so it has very detailed representation of the technologies, and also many climate mitigation co-benefits can be modeled with this. For example, air pollution, health impacts from air pollution, mortality, morbidity from air pollution, other climate impacts can be modeled. So not only GHG mitigation analysis can be done, but many things beyond that. So once the one model was developed, for example, for GHG projections, then the model can be updated and new data can be added, and many other things can be explored with one modeling tool. So this is the typical example of the output of the tool. So you can see that the graphs are created automatically. GHG mitigation analysis can be done in a very useful manner. And it is widely used, and the number of LEAP users is growing every year. I'm not sure. I think that I don't have much time. So Slajana, I think I have 15 minutes, right?
Yes, that's right.
But probably we would need some time for Q&A. So
yeah, but just continue. Don't worry. We can manage the time.
Okay, so the structure of the LEAP model, it starts with the demand analysis, and there are some drivers of demand, for example, population, GDP, so demographics and macroeconomic data are the drivers of the demand. Then second step is statistical difference, which is difference between demand and supply. Transformation analysis is another branch in the tool, and on the bottom side, this is resource analysis and non-energy sectors. In addition to on the left hand side, you can see that pollutant emissions can be modeled, and also impact benefits calculator can be enabled, such as mortality, crop losses, temperature change, etc. And the user interface is very good. So you can see on the left hand side, this is the typical branch of the LEAP model. So the demand side, the transformation, resources, non-energy sectors, and the user has to add different branches to further disaggregate this model. And it's very flexible too. So when we only started with the LEAP model, we can create very simple structures so that we provide less data. And then with time, you can add more functionality, more different branches, and make a more disaggregated tool. So it's very flexible. It can start with very simple structure with very limited amount of data, and then further grow and become more complicated, adding more disaggregated technologies, adding costs. For example, at the first versions, you might not need to add costs, but then after you have implemented energy balance, technology details, then cost can be added. So it's up to the user. It's very flexible model, so that it can start with a simple structure and then follow with a very highly disaggregated and advanced tool. LEAP can be downloaded on the LEAP website, and if you're from low income and lower middle income country, the model is provided for free, and for all other countries it is provided at certain cost. So license needs to be purchased, and when you register yourself first time for the LEAP website, be careful so that you select your own country, because based on the country that you have specified, Stockholm Environment Institute will make a decision if it will be free for you or it will be at certain cost. And there are also many trainings for this LEAP model. And I myself learned this LEAP model by following the YouTube channel of LEAP Stockholm Environment Institute. And they have many video tutorials for how to use LEAP. They also have many exercises. So you can follow these exercises. You can learn this LEAP tool. So there is no need to attend for physical training, so many things can be learned online. There are many materials available on the LEAP website. So I encourage you to visit the LEAP website and to check these YouTube video tutorials, because Stockholm Environment Institute provides step-by-step guidance on how to develop the tool, what is the input requirements, how to develop scenarios, etc. And in terms of the structure of the tool, so you can see that it starts with the demand. So demand is further split to the demand sectors like agriculture, services, industry, transport. Then it follows with the transformation. Transformation process are all the energy sectors that transform one types of energy to another. So power plants receive coal as an input and produce electricity as a secondary fuel. Oil refineries, they have crude oil as an input and oil products as an output. So any kind of transformation process are described here. And further down below, you can see non-energy sectors are described, and indicators that can be used in different branches. So I will not go into much detail of the LEAP methodology. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to I don't have much time to describe every single formula of how LEAP works. But just to give you first idea on the LEAP structure. So LEAP follows energy balance approach. In the results, you will be able to see this kind of Sankey diagram. So LEAP projects energy balance, and user has to provide energy balance for the historical year. And these Sankey diagrams are very helpful visualization tools to understand the energy balance. So you can see on the right side, this is demand sectors. In the middle, it is transformation sectors, and on the left-hand side, this is supply. So, for example, solid fuels, they are produced in the country, and then this solid fuels goes to power generation, and then it is lost in the process of producing of electricity, and then some of this solid fuels goes directly to the demand side. So it's very helpful to understand what's happening with the energy system. And as you can see, every energy balance should be balanced. So there should be supply should be equal to the consumption. So that's the main approach for the LEAP model. And there is also a very detailed representation of the emission factors in LEAP. So it already contains default emission factors for all fuels, but also user can provide their own national specific emission factors. And in terms of data requirements, well, there is a lot of data required for development of LEAP. First of all, demographic data like population, urbanization, number of households, macroeconomic data, general energy data, and energy balance is mandatory to develop any energy system model. So energy balance is the single most important data requested here. Without energy balance, we cannot build any model. So this is a must. Energy prices can be included in the model. Demand forecasting, activity levels should be provided. In terms of energy supply, historic and current installed capacity should be provided for each type of power plant. Efficiencies of power plants, costs, if costing functionality is included, and many other variables related to the power plants should be provided. So it depends on what kind of level of disaggregation you want. For example, even hourly load shape can be provided for the power system. Also other transformation sectors like oil refining, how much crude oil is processed at oil refineries, what is the efficiency of oil refineries, what is the capacity of oil refineries, what is the output of oil refineries, for example, gasoline, how much gasoline, diesel, kerosene, liquefied petroleum gas is produced from the oil refineries. All these details provided by the user. Emission factors can be selected either default or user can provide their own emission factors, fuel characteristics like net calorific value, etc. So yeah, this is in nutshell a bit insights on the modeling tools. So I'm very happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Aymgul. We will have a question-answer session after the presentation of experience from Bosnia and Herzegovina. So thank you, Aymgul, very much. Yeah, this was very comprehensive information about the different tools. I'm not personally sure that I've catched everything. It's so many details and information, but however, we know that decision on which projection tool best fits the country's needs, it's not that easy and depends on a number of the factors. So we are now more aware of these factors and that potentially can help countries to make right decision on how and which projection tool best fits to their needs. Also, in this webinar, we have a pleasure also to hear Professor Husika from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Professor, welcome to the event, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Professor Husika will share experience in using LEAP projection tool. I will now share the slides you have prepared. Just a second.
Hello, everybody. In the meantime, I will take the microphone. So thank you for the invitation to have an opportunity to share with you country experience in using modeling tools for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Shortly, I'm Azruddin Husika from University of Sarajevo Mechanical Engineering Faculty, and I'm involved in development of some strategical documents in Bosnia and Herzegovina, such as NDC, then National Energy and Climate Plan, and as we will see in the next slide, we use for all these documents we use LEAP. There are many of reasons why we use LEAP. Some of these reasons we already heard from the previous presentations. We have started to use LEAP more than 1 decade. I think it was for the first time for the third national communication on climate changes in 2012 or 2013. And since that, we gradually improved model. And recently, we can say that we have a full energy sector in the model, and also other relevant sectors for GHG emissions. Recently, we cooperate with Stockholm Environmental Institute to perform health impact assessment of NDC. The last NDC we adopted is in 2021, and here you can see historical data on GHG emissions and projections of GHG emissions we did in LEAP. So during the preparation of National Energy and Climate Plan, we modeled GHG emissions in 2 scenarios. The one is policy scenario, and the one is scenario with existing policy measures. We use to call it as business as usual scenario. The first scenario year is 2022, and we divided all projections in 2 periods. The first one is until 2030, where we have reliable data, especially for energy sectors, regarding the installed capacities of different facilities for power generation. For period 2050, we developed a policy scenario, which is a climate neutral scenario, according to our not only obligations, but the declarations we expressed in Sofia, the declaration document. So already also we can say that we use it for BTR1, which is undergoing process, and basically, so you can have a clear picture that we use it in very advanced phase in close cooperation with the Stockholm Environmental Institute. The next slide, please. In NETSP, in National Energy and Climate Plan, we developed a policy scenario until 2030, and these are the net net emissions target for 2030, which is in accordance with our NDC. LEAP enable us to make alignment between different documents such as NDC and National Energy and Climate Plan, including update of NDC, and especially since now we are in the preparation phase for NDC 3.0, it means that we have a unique platform for modeling. Later on, you will see that there are a lot of challenges in GHG projections. Some of them are related to applied model, but most of them are not linked to the model applied. And the next slide, please. Here you can see our projections we made, including all GHG emissions until 2050. As I highlighted earlier, one of the scenario, we call it policy scenario, is climate neutral scenario, since LULUCF is about 6 million ton of CO2 per year. So according to this scenario, we will reach climate neutrality in the period until 2050. And on the next slide, we will see the challenges we face in the process of GHG projections. So first of all, regardless on the model we applied, its level of ambition of GHG emission reduction. From one side, we develop documents according to the obligations to UNFCCC, and a level of ambition can be quite lower than in comparison to the documents we are developing as obligations to energy community. So from this aspect, we have some discrepancy and different approaches of some local decision makers. When I say local, I mean different ministries on different levels in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Regarding input data, when we have started to apply LEAP in 2012 or 2013, Bosnia and Herzegovina didn't have even energy balance. So it was very difficult to start with modeling. We had at that time historical data, but reliability of GHG inventory at that time was on the quite low level. The last officially adopted GHG inventory is until 2018, and reliability is about 10-11%. So still on the low level. Gradually we improve it, and within BTR1 we are developing GHG inventory for period 2019-2022 with substantially improved reliability. Nowadays, we also have a reliable energy balance of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which enable us to predict emissions in more reliable way, in more accurate way. Lack of sectoral statistics are also challenges, especially in some sectors such as consumption of different type of fuels and energy in industry, agricultural sector. Then some data about LULUCF also are missing. In terms of emission factors, we don't have national coal emission factors. So we didn't align emission factors in different documents yet. Our proposal is to create or to conduct research regarding the determination of the national coal emission factors. We have some available data to do that, but still we have improved some statistics in order to determine national coal emission factors. Since power generation sector share in total GHG emission is almost 50%, it's quite important for improvement of reliability of and accuracy of inventory. Also, lack of projections of macroeconomic indicators is a challenge when we are talking about GHG projections and applications of LEAP model. Then lack of clear strategic framework, especially in some sectors, in sectors such as energy, especially in power generation sector. It's a clear strategic framework at least until 2030, but later, after 2030, there are a lot of uncertainties regarding strategical framework. Short-term actions in energy industry known. However, long-term planning is missing. Speaking about historical data for LULUCF, we have lack of baseline. Now we are improving that within development of BTR1, and in general we have to increase capacities of public institutions in charge for climate change issues on different levels in order to apply LEAP model. All projections of GHG emissions as well as development of GHG inventories are done within some specific projects, mainly supported by UNDP. So there is no involvement, serious involvement of public institutions, I mean ministries and agencies to handle the LEAP model. So we are involved in some network of LEAP model in order to learn some new features, and in the last presentations we heard that there are a lot of updates. Currently we use the last available version in cooperation with Stockholm Environmental Institute. So in general, we can say that due to the flexibility of LEAP model, we use it, and within all technical assistance, LEAP model is applied in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So this is shortly our experience in LEAP modeling. So if you have any questions, it will be a pleasure for me to give answer and comments.
Thank you very much, Professor Husika, for this very interesting presentation, and especially for sharing challenges that you are facing when applying or when using the LEAP model. For the beginning, before our official Q&A session, just one question from my side. Considering all circumstances and challenges that you mentioned within your presentation, And information that we've shared today about the other possibilities, other projection tools, combinations, etc. Do you still think that LEAP is best one for Bosnia and Herzegovina circumstances, or maybe you consider some other options or combinations even? Aymgul mentioned then that in Great Britain they use different model for different sectors, etc.
I carefully listen and look at the slides in the previous presentations, and I think that LEAP is optimal model taking into account availability of data and objectives of modeling in Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially because we have a lot of issues regarding air pollution, and this feature of LEAP to be able to modeling emission of air pollutants, including health impact assessment, is added value in Bosnia and Herzegovina circumstances. Regarding the use of other models, it will be perfect if we can apply some additional model just in order to check some results and to be able to compare different approaches. I just now heard about Mythica, and I'm looking forward to see this tool, and especially since developer is IPCC, maybe it will be more comparable with IPCC 2006, and when we provide GHG inventory in the same categories to have projections as we have in the inventory. Now we have some misunderstanding with some of the decision makers just because of this issue now I highlighted, since categories in LEAP are different in comparison to IPCC 2006, which we apply for GHG inventory. So as an interface, we have some kind of text and presentations, but it would be more useful to have it more comparable as on the level of the tools.
Okay, thank you very much. And now I open the floor for your questions. Please raise your hands. And also you can put the questions in the chat box. I see that you have already put some questions, and Aymgul also answered. So anyone have a question for Aymgul or for Professor Husica from Bosnia and Herzegovina? I can read here also the Stella from Republic of Moldova make the comment that they are using the long-range LEAP model, integrated benefits circulator, in cooperation with SAE, whatever, for estimating emissions projections for air pollutants and reporting to the CALRTAP. Moldova intends to build the mitigation scenarios to estimate the benefits and impacts on health and agri-crops, etc. So that was one information from Moldova. Also from Turkey, Fatih asked to provide an estimate of typical run times for these models when applied to a country of Turkey's scale. So I don't know, Aymgul, would be possible to answer to this?
I think I provided my answer
In the chat box?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I did not see, sorry. Thank you. So as I can see, you answered all questions, even including this about the costs of LEAP license. Also, I see here some questions about trainings, future training on the modeling tools. For all of you that need additional technical support for modeling tools, please send email to me, contact me, or Nailia for Central Asia and Caucasus, or me for Eurasia network. So then we can proceed and plan training specifically for your country and for your country situation. Also, Ranka Radic asking, are all sectors projected in LEAP in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and do you prefer to use the same model through the years? This is probably a question for Professor Husika.
Yes. Yeah, all sectors projected in LEAP in Bosnia and Herzegovina. However, some of sectors such as agriculture, forestry, they are just connected to and linked to the projections of GDP growth, and emissions are linked to this rate. So it's not inserted some specific measures. I hope that we will be able to do that in the next iteration of development of LEAP. So the second part of the second question is, do you prefer to use the same model through the years? It depends on the capacities of public institutions and ministries. Intention is to deliver the model to them, and then to continuously to improve the process. So for the time being, LEAP is quite adequate, and some of the people from public institutions are already trained to handle with LEAP. However, now we will see what would Mythica make some changes in this context.
Thank you very much for the questions and for the answers. Also, one question from Aygun. What is the difference between baseline and without measure scenario, WOM and WAM? Are all WOM scenario can be considered as baseline or not?
Yes, I can try to answer.
Yes, please.
Or,
yes, please. Thank you.
If it's a question for me, also I wanted to answer one of the question in the chat, because the question was which of the models has minimal requirements for input data. And well, in the 4 models that we compared, of course, GASMO is the simplest tool and requires less data, but also Mythica is quite similar to GASMO, to be honest. So it might be also simple and have low data requirements compared to LEAP and TIMES. So compared to LEAP and TIMES, I believe that Mythica also is relatively simple and requires less input data. However, I'm not sure about the user guidance or community around Mythica, because it's relatively young model. So I'm not sure which countries already used Mythica and what is their experiences, because so far I haven't seen practical applications of that model. Maybe soon in the BTRs we will be seeing some countries using Mythica, so it will be interesting. to see the experiences. But since this is a relatively new model, maybe it requires some time for the community to be able to develop, and we can see the practical use cases. As regards the question on the WOM and baseline scenario, so actually the definition of the scenario is up to the user, up to the country to decide what is the definition of the scenario. The MPGs for the BTR states that without measure scenario should exclude policies and measures from the start year. But baseline scenario definition is not defined like strictly in MPGs. So baseline could be in one country, they might say that our baseline includes some policies, or our baseline excludes some policies. So it is just for the comparison of the different scenarios for each country, they specify. So our baseline scenario includes or excludes certain things, and this is the definition of our baseline scenario. While for the purposes of the BTR and MPGs, there is a bit more clear understanding what should be included in without measure scenario. But from my practice, I can see that many countries have used their baseline scenario as identical with without measure scenario. This is generally the practice, but this is not a rule.
Thank you, Aymgul, very much for this very detailed explanation. I hope that now it's more clear. Also, some of you asked for the presentations. As said already, all materials, presentations, and recording will be shared at our climate transparency platform, but also I've shared the presentation of Aymgul in the chat box, so you can take it now, of course. And if there is no additional questions, or maybe one last, since we are at the end of our session, so please, if you have anything at this point to ask. If not, I have some questions for you for the end of the webinar. I'll share now my Menti presentation. So do you see my slides? Hopefully, yes. This is a few questions for you about the event, about this webinar. Here you can see instructions, so you can go on menti.com by using your Google browser and just enter the code 18503025, or just use a QR code by your cell phone, and then you will get into the questionnaire. I will wait for a few seconds for you to get in the application. So menti.com in your Google browser, and then the code is 18503025, or just use the QR code. So the first question is which GHG projection tool are you currently using? So some of you are using LEAP. Okay, most of you are using the LEAP. Any other answers? Yes, that's already known that most of the countries are using the LEAP. Thank you. Are you considering changing the projection tool to a more suitable one to your according to your national circumstances or technical capacities, etc. So maybe 3 of you, 4 of you answered maybe. So, okay, yeah, for initial information, I guess, and I hope that this webinar help you to consider some other options, better options for you, and also just be aware that you always can contact us in order for to find out more information and more inputs necessary for your final decision on this important issue. So 5 of you considering changing projection tool to a more suitable one. How relevant was this training for your work? Extremely relevant and very relevant. Thank you. I guess that most of you are directly involved in the projections, GHG projections. So even though you are using this or another projection tool, it's always good to know some good or pros and cons for using any other projection tools. So it was extremely relevant and very relevant. Thank you. How satisfied are you with this training? Very satisfied and satisfied. Some more answers. Okay. Thank you very much. If you have some suggestions on how we can improve the trainings in the future, some of you are asking for real life examples. Yes, we have some real life example from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And the other opinion is that approach is great and good. More time with practical work. Yes, we usually do and plan some time for the practical work, but this was just one introduction, just to give you an overall picture and compare different projection tools. And in the next sessions or webinars and maybe in-country trainings, depending on time and your needs, we can plan practical exercises. So please just approach to us with your specific requests, and we will try to accommodate all your needs and to us answer and help you with the projection tools specifically, but also for any other topics related to transparency reporting, NDC, BTRs, etc. Yes, there is one interesting observation: to share the presentation and relevant materials in advance to get ready for the workshop with such extensive amount of information. Yeah, this is really a good proposal, and thank you for this. Yeah, I will actually personally practice this at any time when it's possible. So thank you very much. Great suggestions. Do you have any other comments? No? Okay. The future training on models will be welcome. Thank you. We will try to organize trainings and exercises. Actually, we can speak about the models, but exercises something that you really learn topic that you need. So thank you very much for joining us to this webinar. I would like to thank our IMGOL for very long and detailed presentation that, as I said, will be shared in our website. Also, big thanks to the Professor Husika for providing and sharing his experience from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And for the end, please, I forgot to do it to ask you at the beginning of the event, but this is also right in the time. Please turn on your cameras to make a joint photo of for the record of this event. Okay, I see some colleagues from Albania, from Bosnia, from Moldova. Thank you very much. From Turkey. Okay. Georgia, Sopo, hello. Okay, I'll make now one photo. Thank you. One more. Thank you. So at the end, once more, thank you for your time and your patience in listening this long and detailed presentation. And we will welcome you to the next sessions within the CBGSP support program. So have a great day and see you hopefully soon at the other sessions. Goodbye to everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, Lilia.